So what a checklist for this week's episode of SmackDown. I mean, AJ Lee returned. It was the last ever SmackDown for one John Cena. Joe Tessitore disappeared for 2 months. And somebody filmed Aleister Black walking down some stairs. I mean, that's weird, right? Imagine you walk down some stairs today, somebody was just filming you. I think you'd be a little bit put out. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for WWE SmackDown, the only wrestling review show you need because I watch sports entertainment because you don't have to. The first segment basically lasted an hour, so we could probably get through this week's Ups and Downs pretty fast. But yeah, if you did tune in, I would imagine you are feeling warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum right now. So let's give the good bits an up, and the bad bits are down. I do not know who I'm looking at. John Cena also kicked off this SmackDown and he got a mega pop for he did say, oh my gosh, it's my last night on the blue brand. When he also pointed out, I've been trying to find my mojo recently like it was Austin Powers, but people keep telling me to have fun. And given that we are in Chicago and you've always told me how you feel, damn it, we're just gonna have fun. And Cyndi Lauper came out, didn't happen. He also told the audience that they can be so loud sometimes wrestlers will return, and of course everybody started chanting AJ Lee when he was like, wow, look at this building. I fought Triple H here at WrestleMania, and it's the same place where CM Punk and I went at it at Money in the Bank, which today is considered a classic. He then went on to say the Chicago fans are the best, which made me chuckle, because he was on British television recently where he said, I'll tell you who the best fans are, the ones in the O2 London. So you can take that all with a pinch of salt. This is when Sami Zayn's music hit, and even though he said, listen, John Cena, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The Chicago fans are great because they booed him. Like Bambi could have come out and they'd be like, listen to me, Bambi, we know your mother got shot, but how dare you get in the face of one Juan Cena? Sami also reminisced about his own debut because of course it was part of John Cena's open challenge when he did walk to the ring. And hey, look what I've got the US title now. So Jonathan, if you do give me your permission, I would like to start a brand new US challenge of my own. John Cena was like, yeah, that sounds great, as he was going to leave. And if he had left, it would have been the most anticlimactic exit ever. But of course, Samuel stopped him and said, no, John, I want to have my first challenger right now. And like the old lottery adverts, he said, it's gonna be you. This really was great, especially because the fans exploded at the thought of seeing John Cena, Sami Zayn. And even though I was sat in my own chair and said it's definitely not gonna have a finish, which it didn't, you gotta give this an up. Like if wrestling is about entertaining people and just bringing the energy, well, you probably can't do better than this. Also, we will do our corny John Cena speech when he does actually leave, but I tell you, that man is a goat. The match was super duper fun as well as John Cena continues to do moves as a wink wink nudge nudge to his former rivals. And he did the Kurt Angle angle slam and ankle lock. He did a Kevin Owens pop-up power bomb. And he also did a spear, which could be Roman Reigns or it could be Edge. I tell you, I have never seen John Cena do a spear, so we are not living in Kansas anymore, Toto. If you really went quiet and you listened hard enough, Bill Goldberg got really mad. They then had a suplex battle because why wouldn't you do that when Zayn just whipped John Cena into the corner, which is the most basic move ever. All the Chicago fans went, boo, boo, you weren't allowed to touch this guy. So it really was a barrel of laughs until John Cena hit the AA and Sami Zayn kicked it out of 1-2-ooh. I was like, we can't even protect it on television now. Everybody has to kick out of the AA. Now listen, it worked. Once again, the fans were well into this. But it has become my new pet peeve, and I really would like to bring finishers back, which would be the BFB. That's right, the BFB movement, the Bring Finishers Back movement. There you go. I'll probably make a t-shirt. It's just got way too out of control for me. And I may be completely wrong. I don't even know what my name is. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a down. And I apologize because this match was so good. Nobody should be doing that. But it got in my bored brain. And I don't argue with this thing. I mean, look what it did. Cena also kicked out of Haluva kick, which also ties in when he actually hit Sami Zayn with a GTS, so CM Punk was probably giggling in the back, when John decided, you know what, I'm going to hit you with an avalanche AA, because surely that will work, and we will never know the truth, because of course, as rumoured earlier in the day, Brock Lesnar's music hit, he walked out, he killed Sami Zayn with an F5, so now we've got to do that program too, otherwise Sami Zayn is going to look like a silly Billy when he grabbed John, and he didn't give him just one F5, he gave him a couple. I have a lot to say about this. Now, right after this, we went backstage and we saw Brock Lesnar say right into a camera, John Cena, I'll see you at WrestlePalooza, bitch. I was like, nope, nobody is allowed to say that sentence. You cannot act all tough when also using the word WrestlePalooza. You should have said something like, hey, John Cena, you little scallywag, I will see you at that WrestlePalooza. We will have a good old time and do a dance. It just sounded stupid. Now, a Care Bear could get away with it because you wouldn't expect it from a Care Bear. You think a Care Bear was going to be nice, and if a Care Bear said bitch, you'd be massively confused. And let's just keep things straight. This match was wonderful because of the fans and everything else that went into it. Plus, it is John Cena versus Sami Zayn, so I'm giving it an up. But it does put a one on the dick board, distraction, interference, and confusion. But more importantly, even taking all the outside of wrestling stuff, this Brock Lesnar return doesn't make any sense. He returns at SummerSlam, then vanishes for a month, doesn't say a word. Then he comes back here, he drops John Cena, says like 4 words, and now he's gone again, although apparently he's going to do a promo next week. You wouldn't like it if any other wrestler made a big comeback and then did this, so we can't give this a pass either, even though it helps that John Cena is the most powerful man on the planet. So I do have to give it a down. It just doesn't make any sense. And it is 2 + 2 equals potato, but if we were stacking it in like importance order, that would be down there, and the absolute wonderfulness of Cena versus Zayn is up here. To the point I'd probably watch it again. It's a shame we didn't have a finish, because that would have made it even better. But if you do have 15 minutes a day, you should probably go and watch it. Carmelo Hayes then realised he was trapped in Groundhog Day because he went up to Nick Aldis and said, I really want to have a US title shot. When The Miz walked in and said, no, he doesn't. He wants a tag team title shot instead. So my hand went up. I was like, Carmelo, Sami Zayn has quite literally just started an open challenge. Just go answer that. And I tell you, Nick Aldis said he'd take this under advisement. If we get the Wyatt versus The Miz and Carmelo, who lost recently, I'm not going to do anything about it. It would just sum up wins and losses. It's also actually quite a momentous time for the history of WWE, because this must be the first time a general manager had heard the words Geese title shot and said no. Usually like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. When we cut to Aleister Black versus Damian Priest, I was a bit of a sad panda that we didn't get this on the pay-per-view, but actually, it's like an under-the-radar feud, because these two always cook, and Aleister attacked Damian here at the start when they just threw bones, as the commentators wanted to tell us over and over again that Aleister Black has spent his life mastering martial arts. Did you know Aleister Black has spent his life mastering martial arts? Oh, by the way, you get the point. I did have a moment where I kind of stared off into the distance and thought to myself, wasn't it nice when Carmelo Hayes and R-Truth were involved in this? But that got dropped. And then I was like, do you remember when Damian Priest confronted Jacob for 2 about the US title? And that got dropped too. I'm being an a-hole now. So let's just talk about the match. Aleister was able to hit this top rope meteora where he also got out of the razor's edge and he kneed Priest right in the face when they were fighting on the outside, and Damian was like, listen, given that you did get out of the first one, now I'm going to do it again, but this time you're going into out on the announce table. Well, he did. He also threw him into the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, when he was going to give Aleister Black the big choke slam, and Aleister was like, nope, I'm just going to hold on to the referee, and we're going to do some wiggling and jiggling, and Damian Priest could not believe this. He was like, how dare you touch an official, this wondrous person of gold that we should not do. And he turned around, Aleister Black masked him right in the face, and he just beat him for the 1, 2, 3. This is a little bit like Rusev versus Sheamus on Raw. Kind of feels like we do need to put it on a big stage and give it a bigger stipulation, and then properly let them make eggs. Thing is, though, I am still into this program because both guys do go out there and they just kick ass, but I do think we could elevate their status just a little bit more, but I'm giving it an up. This is solid stuff. Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton then had a big old video because they are going to be fighting next week on SmackDown, which is very interesting, and probably means it is Cody versus Drew at the pay-per-view, when, I'm not going to be able to get this right, but Randy Orton said the 3 most dangerous words in all of sports entertainment, but then it cut to Drew and he said Drew, then it cut back to Randy and he said R, then it cut back to Drew and he said Mac, and then it cut back to Randy and he said K, then it cut back to Drew and he said tire, and it cut back to Randy and he said O. You should be screaming at your YouTube screens now. It was the most absurd thing ever, because it sounded like Drew R, Mackin K, Tire O. I was like, what the flub is that? It sounds like you're on drugs. We also cut to Tiffany Stratton, who said that she was going to kick Jade Cargill in the eye of the storm. You can do with that whatever you want. When we cut to Jade Cargill, who I think was meant to be watching tape on Jade, because Nia walked in and said, oh, I see you're doing your research. When Jade said she was going to win the title, and Nia could have the first shot. Listen, I love Nia Jax, but we cannot continue to do the same thing. It's like a rite of passage, pick anybody else. Nick Aldis then realised that Becky Lynch had turned up and said, oh, you better not do anything this evening, and still booked her in the main event segment, so question that one. When we did get to Giulia versus Michin for the US title, and I have to give it a down, because even in front of the Chicagoan fans, it was so quiet, and that's not Giulia's fault, it's not Michin's fault, it's because WWE has done absolutely nothing with this US title, which makes no sense, because the Raw Women's IC title is like the greatest thing ever. So yeah, I am going to give it a down. Also, there was zero jeopardy in this. I do not believe anybody thought that Michin was going to win. Also put a 1 on the dick board because of course Kiana James got involved. Down. They did trade headbutts and German suplexes though when Giulia was just murdering people with drivers, when Michin was like, I'm going to hit you with the eat defeat, and obviously Kiana James was like, no, don't do that. So she got on the ring apron, Michin just killed her, but she forgot about Giulia, as all wrestlers do. She turned around, she ate another driver, and Giulia just pinned her for the 1-2-3, when Giulia and Kiana James whipped Michin's ass. Apparently Michin doesn't have any friends, because nobody came out to save her. Now listen, I am still torn like Natalie and Giulia because they did go out there and they just put so much effort in, and that should be rewarded. It means I'm going to give it an up. I mean, that means nothing to them, but what else I can do? It's the only finger of power I do have, but we have to do more here, especially with someone like Giulia. This is one of the most neutral, is that the right word? I don't even know, call-ups in a long time. It's quite clear she's got the goods. We've given her a manager, and yet still nothing has changed. But in terms of two people whooping each other's butt, it's very watchable. Charlotte Flair was then super angry because the Secret Herfits had taken her out last week and injured her, when Alexa Bliss and Dr. Lily walked in to give her medical attention. And I was like, Charlotte, you can't listen to this. It's your tag team partner and a doll. You desperately need to go to hospital. Alexa Bliss then actually said, I tell you what will heal you, the power of friendship. And I was like, nope, that's not true. It's a lovely thing to say, but once again, Mrs. Flair, I am begging you, please go to the local medical facility, otherwise you are never going to be able to wrestle again. I'm a little bit worried because I do not want WWE to forget about these tag team titles, although again, it was quite a packed show. So much so, because the first segment went an hour long, well, the next segment was time for all our main event stuff. Just like that. Seth Rollins also made a surprise appearance here because he wanted to introduce his sexy wife, which is quite the line. And when Becky Lynch came out, man, she cut another amazing promo. And of course, this evening did belong to CM Punk and AJ Lee, but Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch did such good heel work, they had me laughing out loud. Especially because Becky did the whole I'm the best wrestler in the world, and it's not just me saying it, Sports Illustrated said it, when she started ragging on all the Chicago teams, and she was so damn wound up. And apparently that was too much for CM Punk. Here he came. Now, of course, he got a monster pop as well, and he told Becky, I don't even care about you. I care about your stupid husband. And look at him. He's hanging out in the rafters because he's a coward and he's scared. Becky totally ignored this and said, well, how do you feel about Monday? When Punk was like, listen to me. You don't think I couldn't call a favor in from a Bailey or Rhea Ripley? So don't you tell me that CM Punk doesn't read the internet. When he even said, yeah, these people should chant AJ Lee's name, which I thought was very interesting. Surely you save that until the music does hit. But all it did was create this fever pitch, because my gosh, these audience people, which is not a right word, were desperate to see Ashley, and if she hadn't have come out, there probably would have been a riot. Lynn still wasn't bothered and started to slap CM Punk again, and she really lays these strikes in when CM Punk hopped out the ring and said, you know I would never hit a lady, but thankfully I know somebody that would, which is when AJ Lee's music hit. Just take 30 seconds today to go and watch it. And if it doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, you may be dead. It was a pop for the ages, and one of those that you'll just wake up on a random Wednesday and think to yourself, damn it, I should watch that again. She skipped to the ring as well, so it was like we had been transported back 10 years. When she got in the ring, she sat on the ropes. When she charged at Becky Lynch, she took her down, she pummeled her, she gave her a big old slap. When Becky Lynch bailed. And Seth Rollins did run down to the barricade, but he was like, nope, I'm not crossing it. And also, Seth Rollins' face when the cameras cut to him after AJ Lee had returned again. All the praise to Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. They were absolutely hilarious. The nice moment came in the sense that CM Punk and AJ Lee then did embrace with a big old hug. So now you just know we're going to do this match at WrestlePalooza. And it was awesome, and it was great, and it was excellent, it was incredible, and all those words. Of course it's going to get an up, and if you are any kind of wrestling fan, WWE, AEW, New Japan, just watch it, man. It's what wrestling is all about. Put one of those heart emojis on it. You probably couldn't have a better end to SmackDown. And if it had been anybody else, again, the world would now be dead. I also always like to think about the personal side of wrestling because I am a geek, and think about the real life CM Punk and AJ Lee. What an amazing moment for them to share. I bet there was a time, maybe sort of 6 or 7 years ago, they never thought this would happen. But that's why you never say never in wrestling. So while actually it was a little bit of a hit and miss SmackDown, given the start and given the end, you have to give it an up. They were pretty flipping good moments. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown and the return of AJ Lee. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen to get my ups and downs from Monday Night Raw. But otherwise, my friends, have a terrific weekend with no pay-per-views. I'll see you soon.